everybody. Welcome
Go to
Push to
Chipotle?
Shout podcast. I did earlier.
I
I
like
still
Chipotle.
have some leftover chips and guac,
As
which
long as you
they
don't
have
get E. coli, it's pretty nice.
the best guacamole of any of like the. Forget Moe's, forget Qdoba, forget this music playing right
It's
now
a little local music.
because it's time for. I don't know where it's coming from now.
Uh-oh.
Welcome.
I was putting it
Push to
browser.
Shout podcast. I did earlier. I'm hearing it twice. Still have some
probably from my
leftover
browser.
chips and guac. Anyway,
As
we
long
had
as
to
you
open
don't-
twice. Sorry. Push to Shout podcast, episode 70. Technical masterpiece, refined production values, as always.
Chipotle
Skippy.
doesn't have queso.
Okay, well, that's
That's their only
true.
downside.
That's true, but all their ingredients are generally fresher. They have barbacoa instead of that bullshit shredded beef that Qdoba has. It's just, it can't even touch it. And the cheese itself is not like that fucking Parmesan Qdoba uses. But I will grant the queso. That you can't argue with.
Yeah.
Skippy, what have you been up to?
CS:GO and wrestling.
Okay, wrestling is a big deal in your life, I'm assuming right now, because it was just WrestleVania?
Yeah, WrestleMania. That's what it's called. They unlock different paths and stuff, and yeah, it's pretty crazy. No, it was WrestleMania weekend. WrestleMania sucked. Wrestling sucks, but WrestleMania was especially bad. But the NXT show on Friday night was good. If you want a good introductory wrestling pay-per-view to go into, look up NXT TakeOver Dallas. It's a nice little, I think it's 2 hours long. Smaller crowd, but still a pretty large crowd. Really, really cool shit happened there. It was the debut of this Japanese wrestler, and the crowd was super into it. And it's just fun when the crowd's like crazy. That's like 75% of the enjoyment of wrestling. And so, yeah, that's all I have to say about wrestling. I actually was going to be done with it after WrestleMania, but then Raw was okay. And just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
Raw? What's the difference? Actually, I don't care. Never mind.
No, you don't care.
Okay.
Monday Night Raw is the TV show, and then there's pay-per-views like every month.
Okay.
So, there was also a CSGO tournament. Talked a little bit about that last week.
Was
with
there?
the North American team, Team Liquid, having a very good match to beat Fnatic, which was the best team in the world, and move on into the tournament itself. And they actually made it to the semifinals. Yes, the semifinals, and then lost. They actually choked really bad. They were like 15-5, like 2 rounds in a row, and lost both. It was really, really bad. But it was very enjoyable. I do enjoy that stuff. It's pretty dorky, but also fun.
While we're in esports land, Pound 6 was this last week for Melee, and Hungrybox won, which you never like to see.
Is he the fanatic of the?
No, he's not. He's the boring Jigglypuff player who is a big tryhard.
He stays
who-
way out on the sides, and
He stays woke on the ledge constantly. It's
I
not
mean,
that bad,
You
but
say try hard, but if you're in like really
no,
big
I get it.
tournaments-
I know. But the thing
You're
is,
trying hard.
some of those top players still have an attitude that's more like a normal person. Mango's more that way. Even Armada, he seems to have a healthier attitude about the game. Hungrybox will like fucking cry and just be way too dramatic when he wins.
You need to have someone like that. He's the heel.
I guess. Okay, he's a fool. He's a heel, a dork, if you will. But it's never good for me to see him beat Mango, because Mango's so much more exciting to watch. That's how I want to see the game played. So it's just, I don't like it.
Sure.
But, he won. Good job. Mitomo. I made a Mitomo.
Yeah,
And-
we were still the night of our last podcast. We were still talking to each other, and I was hearing you playing that game, and you were talking me through it, and especially without context or being able to see anything. Although I don't know if that would actually help. That sounds insane.
Well, it's not insane.
It seems kind of insane.
It's far from it, but it's, I don't know. So there's an app, not an app. Now I'm fucking calling video games apps. There's a game for the 3DS called Tomodachi Life,
I
And
mean,
it was
is it
kind
a
of like a
video game?
Sims thing. Yeah, that's a video game.
And you win it?
You have to be able to win
What's
a
a
video
Mii?
game.
What's art?
But yeah, Tomodachi Life is like Mitomo Light in the creation of the Miiwise thing, and
Here we go.
but there's more to do. So anyway, I made this nightmare Mitomo that I'll let you hear what he sounds like.
Yes.
Let me crank it. Here we go. Wait, I gotta get the photo of the day. Here we go.
What's up?
Yeah,
There's an every big answers event this week.
that's how I sound inside me. I don't know where I'm going with this. But it's
Where
just
do you go with
stupid.
that
It's just
game? What
stupid
the hell
damn.
did you do?
It's not a game. This isn't a game. This is more like a social app that's just silly and meant to be silly. It asks you questions. You can answer questions. It asked me, what do I do to relieve stress? So I said, play my special flute.
Yeah, that's very clever.
It was clever because I was referring to masturbation.
Yeah.
I don't know if you caught that. But, yeah, you can dress your me up, just like those old Newgrounds games. And you can network with all your buds on Twitter.
Spam people's.
It's just
Twitter with-
goofy. It's goofy. And if you make a me, then I can get it on my phone and see what its answers are and listen to it talk in its nightmare voice.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. I think that this is probably the best implementation of me's, if you want to call this the best
Best.
anything. Yeah, because they were just kind
the
of...
least worst. I mean,
Really, they were just avatars for Wii Sports.
yep.
Really. And the whole vision for it that they talked about in the videos describing what the Wii is going to be like, they made it sound like it was meant to be a digital U, but nobody, of course, ever used it that way because there's no reason or platform to ever do that. But they still tried. There was like an Everybody Votes app, which was like a I don't know, primordial this, where
It's
you
very
can
Nintendo.
answer basic questions. Well, now you can be creative. You can type in your own answers, and all the answers, of course, are cock and balls related. But you know, what do you expect?
The
It's
release
kinda
trailer
cool.
was pretty good.
Yeah, with the hot dog teens who taught you how to be a cool teen on
Hot
the
dog
web.
team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got the hot dog teen, the zebra teen, lots of cool teens.
The other thing that was pretty good was people on Twitter posting. You can put your me in photos,
Yeah.
and they would find very serious historical photos from like Vietnam and whatnot, and put me's in them, which
Yep.
was pretty good. So
What's the name of the photo with the gun to the head? It
I
has a
don't know what
famous
the name of it is, but yeah, the guy about to get shot,
Yep.
and they
And,
replace it with a little me with a
He's a
Mario
happy
hat
little
on.
Mario man.
And he's making the same facial expression. It's dark.
I got a
but
puffy,
that's the
big
world we're in
puffy
now.
bird head right now. But
Right.
I'm probably gonna change it up. I'll maybe roll Dino. We'll see.
All right, that's exciting.
Yeah, Mitomo. It's interesting. Just check it out. Oh, one thing I wanted to mention is that this seems like the right way for Nintendo to start doing smartphone apps. Pokemon Go is going to be coming out, but the production value of the app is pretty good. It's slick. It works. It doesn't feel like the first smartphone app by Nintendo. It feels like they knew what they were doing, or
So the
hired people who knew what they were doing.
The Nintendo NX is going to be an app store for your phone.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
It could be.
Okay, so Mitomo. That's Mitomo. I started Uncharted 2 because Uncharted 4 is coming out, and I want to play it. And my friend lent me the HD collection, the Nathan Drake collection, they call it. And I played Uncharted 1 a while ago. It was kind of cool, but I don't remember much about it. It was years and years ago. But I heard Uncharted 2 is the best one, so I'm playing that, and it's pretty cool. I think, though, that a lot of the appeal with that series is that it's the cutting-edge
Yeah.
AAA production value at the time. Like, there's nothing better looking on a console when those games come out. And that's not true now. even playing the HD update, it just isn't as impressive as it would have been if I played it when it came out.
Right.
So it's still fun, and I'm sure the story gets interesting. They're basically like Indiana Jones games, and they've got a sense of fun and wisecracking hero, and doesn't take itself too seriously. So all that's still there. I'm not trying to knock the game or anything, but I think a good chunk of what makes those games appealing is how impressive they are when they come out. But that said, I did see a trailer. It's like a Madagascar trailer for Uncharted 4, where they're like driving this truck around these muddy, I don't know even what you would call the environment. Like, it's not a savanna, but it's like these hilly, rocky formations, and it's really, really cool. Like, one of the best looking things I've ever seen. And obviously on a technical level, it's not going to be as good as, say, like a Crysis 3 or a Witcher 3 on PC, but I still think it looks better, because you really can't understate how much a good developer just polishing everything to a mere shine and perfectly pushing out everything that console's hardware can do. Naughty Dog is maybe the best at doing that. So yeah, really impressive.
And it's
looking.
more about, like, it's not just about the technology, the graphical power, and how it would look in a screenshot. It's the way he moves as a character, the animations, and
the animations they blew me away.
And of course the design of the world being fantastical and enjoyable in a way beyond just looking good.
For sure.
So yeah, the stuff that they're showing from Uncharted 4, like the E3 gameplay segment, was super nice. It looks really slick.
Yeah, I'm excited for that game.
Yeah, I'll probably eventually play those, because my brother-in-law's a big fan. He's got them all, and maybe I'll steal his stuff. But they kind of appeal to me, because like I really liked the Call of Duty, all the Call of Duty. I liked Call of Duty 1, 2, Modern Warfare 1 and 2 single players a lot, and a lot of people buy those games and never even play the single players, but I think they're great. They're just little action movies in a video game form, and they're fun.
I loved Modern Warfare 2's story. That was so cool.
It's a lot of fun. So underrated. But if you were to go back for the first time and play those, it would be so. Everyone else has copied the formula so many times that it would be so underwhelming. I'd actually be really interested in like seeing what someone's opinions would be going back and playing Call of Duty 4's single player.
That would be kind of neat. A retrospective. God, I would like Matthew Matosis to make an in-depth critique of Call of Duty.
That game was the cutting edge. I mean, it was like they were doing so many things that nobody else had done. The whole idea of knifing someone, like just by pressing a button, was totally crazy and awesome. And putting on the night vision and having the laser beams, aiming down the sights with the red dot sight. That was like the first major game that I know of that did that. And it was totally watching the gameplay for the first time when they first released the gameplay of like they fight across a bridge or something like that. It's at night and they clear out a building with night vision and stuff. That was fucking crazy. Like, people the next day at school, I remember people like, "You have to watch this. If you haven't seen it, you need to watch it. This is going to be the craziest game ever." So it earned its position, and then never changed.
I remember playing that game on PC about when it came out, and I was just blown away by how good it felt to play.
God,
it just was really nice. It was so smooth, and I didn't have like a super great PC then, but it ran like 60 frames per second perfectly. It looked amazing, and at that time I cared a lot about that. But it wasn't just that. Like, all the weapons were just tight and quick. It's not like a clunky, realistic military game. It's an arcade abstraction of shooting in modern combat, and it's cool. It was so cool.
Mastu Dinton in chat says knifing was just moved to an analog click and made its own weapon, as opposed to Halo having melee on B where you hit them with your gun. Yeah, but in Halo you press B and you do the melee and it hits a little range around you. And Call of Duty, when you would press it, you rush towards the enemy and knife them in the fucking chest, and that was what made it so cool.
And it's an insta kill.
You see that for the first time, and no other game had done that. It's like, fuck, holy shit. It's different, and if you didn't experience it at the time, I don't think you would understand. I'm not saying maybe you did, and maybe you weren't impressed. I don't know, but to me, it was fucking crazy.
that's Fishu Hedzu just pointed out something that's easy to forget now. That was during the glut of World War II shooters.
Yep, including Call of Duty.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, yeah, Call of Duty was copying the format of like Medal of Honor and all that shit, and then they'd said, let's make a modern game. And the only other modern games that had been made at that point were like simulator style, like super serious kind of stuff. And then,
America's Army.
Yeah, exactly.
Propaganda game.
And
but so yeah, it's easy to forget the time when a modern military shooter was a breath of fresh air. But it was at the time.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Now the funny thing is that because that was so fresh for the time, I think the Treyarch one that followed it, World at War, I think that one is kind of underrated. I love the story in that game.
I don't think it was a great game.
It was
but probably better than
it was cool.
Yeah, because it was just a World War II game, and at that point, long before that point, people were saying, well, okay, we're so done with this World War II shit, and then it comes out after they'd already moved to the modern era, and so it seemed really weird.
Yeah.
I never liked the Treyarch games as much. Those have turned into the main, like, the best games. The best.
Black Ops 1 was great.
The single player sucked ass.
You think?
I liked what they tried, but it sucked.
I disagree.
Yes,
I think it was cool. Guys, you heard it from me. Badass seal of approval. It's a cool game. But I mean, the twist is dumb, but it's just like a stupid spy movie.
The story was great, and I liked what they did with the story. But as far as the action sequences, and I think the biggest missing piece was the music. The music.
What?
I
That's the one that used. It's one of the best like musical moments in the series. Is when you're on the Vietnamese river. But yeah, that was great. That was awesome.
Easy, though, and that's easy.
It doesn't matter if it's easy. They did it.
It was a good moment. But the rest of the game didn't have anything because that was where their music budget went, I guess. Because all their other shit was a lot of it was music void. Like it wasn't even like I remember specifically the first level you get in a plane and the plane's taking off and you're shooting shit. And I remember thinking like, okay, this is a classic Call of Duty sequence. And as far as there was either no music playing or like it was so boring that it wasn't noticeable. And previous to that, Call of Duty 4 had a fantastic soundtrack. So did Modern Warfare 2, and it didn't have that at all. And that I think that took away a lot of it for me. And I just didn't enjoy it very much. So there you go.
I liked it.
I liked the story.
I liked the super corny moments, like meeting
like
JFK.
To the president.
Yeah,
that was fucking. I love that. I love that they tried that, and I love that some of it like totally worked in a really cheesy way. It was just the game itself with the music and the set pieces and stuff that underwhelmed me.
Yeah, I can see that. But I disagree.
All right. Let's see. What else is there to talk about that we did this? I did go-karts. I've talked about this before. There's a little place in Birmingham that does electric carts, and it was a lot of fun. And I don't have anything else to say about that. It's like video games, but real. And it makes you really sore because they're fast enough and they're like grippy enough that you're fighting the G-forces constantly, and it's actually really taxing, and it's kind of hard to turn the wheel too. And so it's a lot harder than driving a real race car.
Really?
And yeah, much harder. Much harder. Especially like
I wouldn't have guessed that.
No, it's I probably put in 30 total minutes of kart driving, and the next day it was like sore, like all over my back. All the muscles in my back were sore. My arms were sore, and I'm out of shape, but like I've driven endurance races in cars at pretty taxing tracks, and your arms will get a little sore, but it's not nearly as the G-forces aren't as bad as on the car because the car's so light and so close to the ground that like you're doing incredible turns that are really taxing. So it is much harder. It's a good, decent workout.
I'm sorry for this complete tangent, but I was just looking on this Chipotle cup, and I don't know if you guys can see this, but on the wristwatch right here, there's a little glare. It says reproductive sex.
As opposed to the other kind of sex.
I don't know what the point is. They've been doing like this avant-garde art shit on their bags and their cups for I think it's getting a little out of hand. I don't know.
It's for millennials.
Okay, yeah, it's pretty fleek.
Yeah, it's on fleek, fam.
Nay. Guys, I saw Daredevil Season 2. I finally finished it.
Oh yeah.
And I want to talk about it for just a little bit. Well, I wasn't like compelled, like I was with the last season, to just watch it all the way through, all in a couple sittings.
Yeah.
Like it just kind of bored me toward the middle. I think overall it's also sloppier than the first season, but I think the highs are higher. Both seasons have like one standout action scene that is among the greatest action scenes ever committed to film, the best choreographed and the
Damn.
best shot. Absolutely, it's worth just watching the fight scene in the stairwell. It's incredible. It's
Okay.
honestly like great. It's amazing. But the trouble with the first season was that they couldn't sustain that level of fight choreography and fight cinematography. I think it's more consistent this time, that they managed to keep the action consistently interesting to watch, which is very important for a show like that, because it's not the weepy character drama that a lot of these shows like the Arrow, which, oh my god, I want to talk about that for just a second. I
Is
didn't
that like a
watch most of
dramatic
it.
thing? I thought that was like
Well,
pretty lighthearted. I don't know though.
no. But like there's a scene other than the stairwell scene, like in like a laundromat, and he's like standing there and silhouetted, and there's all these like clothes flying by, and it's just they come up with interesting ways to frame the action, and that's important. That's really, really important for a show like that. So very good. The Punisher is a great character. One of the the more interesting Marvel things I've ever seen.
Does he have a superpower?
No, he's
I didn't
just
think so.
he is just
He's just an angry man.
he's like about as good a fighter as a human being can be. He
Yeah.
could probably beat anybody except maybe Daredevil.
What's Daredevil's power?
Daredevil is he's blind, and that like heightened all his other senses, so he can like
Ah.
hear perfectly and hear heartbeats through walls. And anyway,
That's how
it's
blindness
not like a
works.
great show. It's not a show that you have to go watch. The only thing you have to watch are like those two action scenes, one in each season. But yeah, overall, my verdict for the folks,
Oh,
if you want to
boy.
hear my verdict, it's that it's sloppier, but the highs are higher. The Punisher is incredible.
Put it on the box.
Cool stuff. Yeah, back of the box. It's cool, Mike. Okay,
Caps.
on to Haps. So, in case you guys didn't hear, the world's coming to an end. It's over. Pack it up. You know, we had a good run, but I think it's time that we admit our fate. So, the clickbait mill has picked up on this astronomy story. And this is the story, that there was a gravitational pull on a satellite
This is how desperate we are for hacks.
that suggests. Well, I just found this out like right before we went live, and I just had to mention it because this was like a clickbait writer's wet dream.
Okay.
There's a small gravitational pull on a satellite that suggests some large body somewhere, and the theory that someone came up with is that there's a ninth planet-sized thing that's orbiting the sun, and that it's now going to either collide with Earth or come so close to Earth that asteroids will just hail the planet into obliteration. And like the clickbait headlines that pop up are things like ninth planet could destroy the Earth as soon as this month. And that is everywhere. And of course it's always like could, might. And it got me a little worried because, you know, planetary destruction is not something you see often on your
You don't
news
take it
feed.
lightly.
You shouldn't, probably. If there's
Although, what are you
anything,
going to do about it? So maybe you just ignore it, really.
I don't know, maybe we can blow on it. But
If everyone blows at once.
if there's any headline that you should, like, you know, check into, it's probably that the Earth's going to be destroyed.
I guess.
So I did some reading and it's of course all bullshit. There's an astronomer by the name of Mike Brown who goes by @PlutoKiller on Twitter.
He killed Pluto. It was
Because
dumb.
he was apparently one of the scientists instrumental in reclassifying Pluto.
Right.
Yeah, and he says it is not going to cause the Earth's destruction. If you read that, it will. Then you've discovered an idiot. So, whatever. The
What a
world's
shame.
not ending, guys. Mike Brown saved us. Not that Mike Brown. Other Mike Brown.
Saved us by delivering us more time to deal with this horrible existence on
Yes.
planet Earth.
We should all thank him for granting us a few more years of suffering.
More video games.
Yeah. Okay, so the world's ending. That's okay,
In more
that
important
happened.
news, and in more cataclysmic news,
Yeah. Okay.
Gilva Sunner.
No, not Gilvasunner. Givasunner.
Gilva Sunner, right. With a
Givasunner.
capital second capital I.
It's kind of hard to describe this now because
It's hard
you
to
want to
describe
say yeah, it's hard to describe in the first place, but you want to just say go watch his videos. But you can't because YouTube took his channel down. Givasunner is a play on Gilvasunner, the classic YouTube man who's been uploading high quality rips of video game music
Only
for
high
years
quality
and years.
video
Only
rips.
high quality rips. If you've ever looked for a song from a video game, especially like a Nintendo game, it's probably been a Gilvasunner video. And yeah, he's just been doing that for years, and I don't know how the hell he finds the time and
and avoids the copyright claims and shit. I think
I think
don't
it's
understand.
probably just that they monetize it.
Yes.
But so yeah, that's been going on for years. Then Givasunner, the hero of our story, he completely replicates every detail of Gilvasunner's channel, down to the avatar, the name. It's instead of Gilva, it's Giva with a capital I, so it looks exactly like an L in the sans serif font that YouTube uses. So, and the channel description is exactly the same. Just a perfect replica. And he, God, what do you say? He
He
uploads
uploads high quality video
high
games.
quality video game rips that usually turn into the Flintstones theme after
About
20
50%
seconds
of
or
the
so.
time.
Yeah,
About
yeah.
50% of them of what's got to be a few hundred videos, maybe.
Oh
I
yeah,
think
yeah,
not
yeah.
that many.
It's okay. So here's the truth: the cold hard skinny.
The inside
It's a
scoop.
collab project. I've got a man on the inside who feeds me the scoop. It's a collab project, and they are just constantly uploading videos to the tune of several per day, and they're all great. They're just these dumb little mash. Like one of my favorites was released the day before, or no, the day that the channel got taken down. It was the love theme from Metal Gear Solid 4.
Oh, I
You know,
didn't-
it's
I-
like that,
I
like
didn't
that
get a
really
chance to listen to
sad,
this
slow
one.
song.
Yeah, I know
And,
exactly what it is.
It's got Angry Joe complaining about YouTube copyright IDs over it, and like timed perfectly. It's great. It's so emotional. Very
Yeah,
sad Joe.
If they don't
Very sad rip.
end in, so usually they'll devolve into the Flintstones theme using the same instruments and often the same key as
Yeah,
the
they
original
use the
song.
authentic sound fonts of the games whenever they can.
And if it doesn't do that, then it does something else equally humorous. There's a CS:GO one where it's the menu
Yes.
title screen from CS:GO, but every time the music hits, where it goes doom, 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 doom. It's a Steam notification,
Yep,
which is pretty good.
it's pretty outstanding.
We shouldn't even spoil them because
Well, that's the
surely they'll be
thing.
uploaded on an
Like they
off
can't
channel
go
or-
watch it on their own.
They'll be uploaded somewhere.
It will, but you know, it's just sad. They also have a Bandcamp that's still up. You can listen to the songs, but it's just not the same when it's not with the misleading, them. The reason it got taken down, by the way, is for being misleading, which
Well.
of course, yes,
the
but
whole
that's the
point.
joke. I also think it's funny that this gets taken down when it's actually fair use, because that's for parody. Meanwhile, Gilvasunner just uploads a shit ton of music he doesn't own, and that's fine. Like, it's just sad.
And he also tweeted that he was like, "Oh, it's a shame that the
Yeah,
other
yeah.
account got closed down because
I'm not trying to like knock
uh,
Gilvasunner or anything.
But it's just ironic, yeah.
Yeah.
Here's a tweet from Gilvasunner himself, vowing to fight this. He says, "I'm going to get this account back even if it kills me. I only upload high quality video game rips."
Yeah.
Which the implication seems to be that's literally all he does. And that if he can't get his account back, then it will kill him because that's all he does.
Thankfully, they're not as stubborn as Sam Hyde, our favorite person,
Oh my god.
is, and they will make a second channel if they don't restore this one. That might actually be good, just to have a fresh one with
I mean, whatever.
not subscribers. I don't know. I guess it
would be
doesn't
the
make a
same.
difference.
It would be the same effect, really. I
You,
mean,
they
might
could
get it.
also. There's another channel that's bigger than Gilvasunner's called Brawl BRTSM S3 that also uploads a shit ton of like extended video game music, and that would be another prospect.
Target.
Yeah, a target. Targeted harassment.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun going through those videos and
A lot of them are
listening,
great.
Waiting for the surprise. Like sometimes you have to wait like a minute and a half, and then finally, it's the Flintstones theme.
One of my personal faves. I have so many personal faves, of course, but one of my more recent personal faves is the Elegia. You know, the song from the Metal Gear Solid 5
Yeah,
trailer,
yeah.
the
I
E3
didn't hear this
2015
one
trailer. It's it just blue balls you the whole time. So it's
Oh,
down,
right.
down, 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 no, 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 no,
Never
no,
hits.
no, 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 and it just for 15 minutes it's just that, and then right at the very end it's no, 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 no. It's perfect. It's a good channel. It was a
Yep.
good channel. I hope they get it back.
I hope so.
It's clearly under fair use, but YouTube is YouTube.
You could argue. I mean, it's not a fair use case. It's a terms of service case, but whatever.
That's true. That's true. It wasn't copyright, but
Yeah. So we'll see.
well, it deserves to be back.
What else we got? Is there any Dark Souls 3 news?
No, I'm just heating up, Skippy.
I'm fucking
Skippy, I'm heating up.
I'm still fucking pissed that we can't play it and that it's been out for like 3 weeks. It's driving me
It's
insane.
been out.
It has been out. It's been
Yeah,
out in
basically.
Japan. There's people in the United States playing it in English.
Any half-baked YouTuber.
I
has been able to
probably
get it.
could get a copy if I had tried. It's insane. I hate it. I want to scream about it. I've had to skip forward in 3 podcasts now to avoid spoilers.
I haven't had much time to listen to podcasts, so I haven't had to do that. But
Yeah, it's annoying.
yeah, I've managed to avoid basically everything still, except for like the very first gameplay footage they released like a year ago.
I don't even think I saw that.
Yeah, all I saw was that it looked kind of cool, and that was all I needed to see.
Yeah. There's a couple things I know about it, but I don't think they're major, so I'm excited.
Already I've had Vasilikov, because Vasilikov comes on our Mumble a lot, and he knows stuff. He is less concerned with spoilers than I am.
Vasilikov,
By quite a bit.
known for his 80s Dark Souls trailer, cartoon
Yeah.
trailer. It's pretty good. You should check it out.
Apparently they put a reference to that video in the game.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
But he's trying to get an advanced copy, and they probably will give it to him. It's just, can't you just release the game when it comes out? Like,
It's crazy.
I know it's being marketed now just like any other video game, which
Yeah, but the crazy part is that it's out in Japan. Like, what
Yeah.
reason is there for it to not be out in the U.S.? Like, this is not the 90s.
well,
If that makes
localization
sense.
takes time.
Yeah, but they have it. They have it localized. You can get it in English. There's
Yeah.
reviewers playing it.
that's
There's
true.
reviewers who've completed the game.
Yeah.
So what? There's literally nothing that they're doing. There can't be.
But
they say there's
you know
a
what?
day
It
one
very
patch, but
you're right that there's nothing they're doing to the game developmentally, but there is something they're doing with hype building. They know that Americans are going to look at the Japanese gameplay footage and get excited, and they're going to... That they know that's going to happen. That's how they've been playing the marketing.
Yeah, there's nothing marketing wise, there's no reason for them not to do this, I guess, but it's still ugh.
Speaking though of localization, I've been reading Legends of Localization. It's fascinating. If you haven't heard of Legends of Localization, it's made by Tomato, who is the guy who led the translation project of Mother 3. But he doesn't just write about Earthbound and Mother 3. He writes about localization in general from Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes they're like short articles. Like, you know the part in Metal Gear Solid 2 where the Colonel says, "Please, like, you have to believe me," and then lie is capitalized.
Yeah.
It was just a short little article where he goes into the original game and checks if it's the same. And no, that emphasis on lie is only in the English localization.
Right.
So sometimes it's little subtle things. He has a complete series on the original Legend of Zelda where he, like, dialogue piece by dialogue piece, all the text in the game, he explains what's different. The most interesting, though, obviously, is his Earthbound and Mother 3 series, where every part of the game meticulously explains every difference that makes a difference, if that makes sense. Like, anything that's substantially different, he'll make a note of, or things that he gets asked about a lot.
Yeah.
It's really, really interesting.
That is a very interesting topic. And it's something that you, like, it's not just for, like, transferring something over that's as big of a shock as east to west. Like, you have to do it a lot of times between Britain and the US and Australia and stuff, where, like, there's some especially, like, with movies and stuff, people will go out of their way to edit little jokes and stuff that might not make sense to another audience.
Yeah.
And it's like Back to the Future had an example in it. The Back to the Future 2, he orders don't ask me why I suddenly know this. He orders a Pepsi Zero or Pepsi Free. That was it, because they didn't have Pepsi Zero. Pepsi Free, and the guy's like, or maybe it was Back to the Future 1.
I think it's Back to the Future 1.
But
he
he's
asked
like,
for a Pepsi Free, and then he asked for a tab.
Yeah, and the guy's like, well, you can leave a tab, but you gotta order, and then he asks for something with no sugar, and he gives him coffee. And then I think, like, in the Italian version, it was Fanta or something. And he says, "We only deal with reality here, no fantasy," or something like. There's weird little puns and stuff that they had to work in through different languages in different countries, because they didn't know what Pepsi Free and stuff was, or they didn't speak the language, and so the puns didn't work. And
he writes a lot about jokes, localizing jokes, especially because he translated Mother 3, which has so many jokes, and he wrote the Legend of Localization series on Earthbound, which also has so many jokes. And it's just really interesting. One example that's not from the Mother series that is I can explain quickly, is Dot Hack. It's a game that had a notoriously bad English localization. And there's this scene where a comedian is going on stage and saying stuff, and the audience leaves, like, they trickle out during it. And in English, nobody had any idea, like, what was going on, because they just went on stage and says, "Why is the grass green?" And then some people walk out, and then, "Why is the castle good?" Just these weird, they don't make any sense. But in the Japanese, they were like puns based on the pronunciation of certain words, like the green grass in the Japanese actually uses the same syllables and it sounds like the same word. And the point was that they were really obvious shitty puns, and they were groaners, and the audience was leaving because of that. But that was completely lost in translation. And then he described, like, how he would have done it, because he does apparently professionally a lot of translation work too, and obviously, like, his passion project Mother 3 required a lot of this stuff, of replacing the puns with puns that are, like, similar in spirit in English. Like, why was the window annoying? Because it was a pain. That would have been something that would have fit there, and that's one he suggested. not the same phrasing, but it was just really interesting. And he has a complete series on the original Legend of Zelda 2 if you're not interested in the Mother series. And then that one is available in physical book form. He published a physical book
Nice.
that just every possible moment of the original Zelda is translated. You know that famous I am error guy
Yeah.
in Zelda 2? He goes into that and why it's that way. And it's in Japanese too. The guy says, "My name is Error." It's not just an English thing that got botched by localizers. It's cool. It's a
That's
really
interesting.
cool website.
I know there's some interviews with the voice actors for some of the Fooly Cooly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, English voices, and they kind of talk about some of the, because that show is full of puns and pop culture references that just will not make sense to an American audience, and so they obviously had to change a ton, and in some
Yeah.
cases just completely rewrite
In the
entire
subtitles,
scenes.
I read,
Yeah,
they often had like an asterisk and then
Yeah.
described the joke in the Japanese, or not the joke, but the wordplay.
yeah. That series is short enough that you can watch, the subtitle version and the dub version close to each other with no problem. And
Yeah.
I've done that, and it's astounding the differences. And sometimes the subtitles, they'll try to make stuff make sense on their own, but it's a completely different way of doing it than the dubs. And it's that stuff is fascinating to me. I mean, I've always been like I've always been interested in language stuff. I've taken like a history of English course and all that stuff. So that's right up my alley. I'll definitely check that out.
It's really fascinating, and the more I've read of what this guy writes about and just how much he knows and cares about this stuff, I start to think that an official localization of Mother 3 wouldn't be as good. Like, I think this guy was the perfect guy to do it. He is,
He has
like,
some personality.
He's
too.
brilliant. Like,
Yeah.
crazy stuff. So yeah, localization is cool.
Cool.
Other haps. VR is still a big disappointment to the people who have.
So I've been seeing so much negative shit about this. From seeing the stuff from Vive, and it came out 2 days ago. I've been way more impressed with the Vive than the Oculus.
I
obviously.
heard
mean,
that
it's better.
the lab, the Valve thing, is
It's
really
awesome.
impressive.
If you haven't seen the lab, you need to go look up a video of the lab and just them going around doing the stuff in the lab, because that's probably the most impressive stuff. Just because it's got the Valve touch of like, Vive still has this issue where the large majority of the games coming out are just built as like a showcase of, here's an example of how a game could be in this thing, and they don't write anything for it, or they don't voice act anything, or there's no music in some case, like just incomplete games that are good enough because they're a showcase, and that's super disappointing. But Valve goes all in, and they add that polish that you really need, and it's fucking awesome. There's one where you're launching personality cores, or what's basically personality cores, and it's like an Angry Birds kind of little game, and they've written and voice acted different little things for each core, and they're all very funny, and that adds so much to the game, because you see it as being a complete experience rather than just an example of a potential experience. And they've even added what looks like a very fun little arcade game where you control a ship with one hand, and you're in like a sphere that, if you were to visualize it in real life, would probably just kind of be the size of like your desk area around your head, and you hold the ship with the controller in one hand, and then you move around your view, and you have to dodge. It's a bullet hell game, and you're shooting things and dodging bullets in a 3D space. And watching it 2D doesn't make any sense, because the bullets will come flying in these huge volumes, and you can't tell. You don't have the depth perception in 2D to tell where they're coming from, but the person doing it in 3D has no problem. That's really cool. It's a really cool example of something that you kind of need VR to do. And the motion control sensors add a huge level of I've seen a lot of games played on it, and I would say you need to check out the Valve lab thing, and that's mostly a series of technology showcases of like, here we 3D printed a large outdoor space that you can kind of move around in, which is crazy. Like on top of a mountain, and you can look down, and that's weird and cool. But you can't actually do anything there. You can throw a stick, and a little robot dog will go get it. But it's like there's no game there, so you just kind of do it and go, "That's neat." And that's what half of them are. But
This
it's
seems
just
like
well done.
the kind of thing. I don't know if Half-Life 3 is ever gonna get made now because the guy's gone, but it seems like the kind of technological leap that they wanted to target.
Right.
Because obviously that scene in Half-Life 2, and just the gravity gun in general, but that scene where you're throwing the ball to Dog and he goes and gets it, like, it's clear where the inspiration came from there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Valve seems like that, like your kid who has so much potential and they just waste their life.
Yeah.
God,
I hope they're working
can
on
just
more
they are
stuff.
so talented. They can
Yeah.
just shit out a tech demo and it's amazing.
They have the best creative minds in the video game industry, in my opinion, and I don't think that's hyperbole.
I agree. They don't, especially recently, they're not making the best creative products.
No.
But like they clearly have the most consistently talented people.
And even the boring products they make, like a MOBA, they add so much personality in there that it's still something that they can own, and that is impressive. But yeah, that's cool. But if you want to see video games, like here's what a video game is in VR. There's a heist game called what is it called? Maybe someone in chat will say it. I can't remember the name of it. And there's I'm drawing fucking blanks here. It's my moment, and I'm drawing blanks.
Your moment.
What was it?
Heist game.
Yeah, the heist game's really cool, and it's a very simple kind of game, but it's done very well with the.
Did you just write push it t-shirts in the chat? This guy. He
What?
wrote push to shot in Japanese characters. Interesting.
That's probably wrong, but neat. Oh God! So there's that. There's the heist game where you're kind of like. So there's this concept with this VR stuff with the room space stuff where you've got a limited amount of room to walk around, but you need to travel in the world. And the solution that they've come up with that is pretty much universally accepted is you point where you want to teleport, and you teleport your little room to that area, which sounds worse than it seems to actually be. Like it seems like people have no problem with it. It's a little weird to see it at first, but you can see how you could get used to it.
Yeah.
I still don't really understand what's wrong with just having a thumbstick and moving around using the thumbstick. That seems like it should work just fine, and there's a few games that do that seem just fine. But that works. And oh yeah, the other one, Job Simulator. Have you seen any of that?
I saw a GIF of it.
Job Simulator is fantastic. It's got good writing and a nice presentation and a lot of detail where, like, depending on the size of your room space that you've laid out for VR, it will change the layout of your little job work area. So, like, if you're working in the kitchen area and you've got a very small room space where you don't really have much room to move around, it'll combine like the microwave and the oven and the sink into one little thing where you turn a knob and it goes down and comes back up as what you need. But if you have a larger area, then all that stuff will be spread out, so you have to walk around to each one. And the concept is that, like, it's the future, and you're in a museum and you're being shown what it's like having a job in the 21st century.
That's a neat idea.
It's very clever and very well done, and it's a little robot telling you, like, you are to make human food. A smoothie is a combination of different ingredients, and you can throw anything into the blender and it'll make the little smoothie, and literally you can throw like objects in there and stuff, and it's just funny little goofy stuff like that. But it's a very complete experience that totally takes advantage of having two hands and everything. Because, like, you hold a cup in one hand and you've got your tea in the other, your tea mug kettle, and you pour it into the mug, and, like, I'm amazed at how easily people do that stuff with the controllers, how it seems really intuitive and responsive in a way that I wouldn't really expect. It's a little bit jerky and stuff, but it's impressive to me. And I think where it sells me is if you watch someone play Surgeon Simulator, which is notoriously difficult with a keyboard and mouse.
Yeah, well, that's the whole point of the game is that it's
Exactly.
stupid and
Yeah.
It's just dumb.
Um,
It's a dumb game.
But if you watch someone play that with VR,
They can probably just do it competently.
exactly, they do it totally perfectly. They're picking up tools, they're passing it in the other hand, and they're whacking on something while picking something else up. And it's just amazing to see that level of interaction with a game because I've never seen that before in any game.
The controllers seem like so much more compelling to me than the VR.
Yeah, the controllers are probably the best part. They're pretty simple. They've got touchpads on them like the Steam controller does, which doesn't seem great, but there's a few applications for it I can see would be interesting. But they've got little buttons on the side, kind of, that you can squeeze, and that's like what you use to pick up stuff. And then they've got triggers on the back and buttons on the front. And it seems like you can just do a whole lot with them, and people haven't quite figured out how to make things not clunky in some cases. Like I've seen inventories where you have to pop it up on one hand and then like it pops up in like a menu in the space in front of you and you have to like point to something with the same hand to do it. When other games you can use both hands, and so you pop up a menu and you point with the other hand, which sounds really simple, but when you actually see it applied to something like Brushworks, there's a Google program that's basically Paint, but in 3D. So you go into a space, and you can pull up your little paint brushes and stuff, and you can like switch between like, okay, here's color, and you choose your color, and then you switch to the brush and you choose your brush, and then with the other controller you brush in the air, and you make a 3D. You can like sculpt stuff basically. And you can create light sources, and then you can look at other people's stuff and watch them drawing it in the 3D space
That's
in
cool.
front of you and walk around it. And people have made really impressive shit with it. That was kind of mind blowing to me because like that's an actual application for it.
Yeah.
Like, a really cool artistic expression kind of thing that you can't do in any other medium. So I wouldn't call it disappointing. I'm blown away by the technology.
The tech, yeah.
The video games, they need work, but
Yes.
they'll get there. And I don't know what people
It
expect.
seems more and more like it's got so many VR as a technology, has so many non-video game applications
Yeah.
that's maybe where the real meat is. I can picture
In the long run, I think so.
Yeah, because I know people have talked about it, but the more I think about VR, and especially after that dumb little Samsung VR demo I tried where you're like in a movie theater,
Yeah.
it would be just cool to hang out in a room with people.
So, okay, here's another game that you should check out. That's really interesting. I can't remember any of the names of these fucking games. Hover something. You have a platform that you're on, and you have a choice between a couple of guns, and you can hold them with both hands if you want. One's a shotgun with 3 barrels. One's a pistol, a revolver. And you can fly around on your little hover platform, and you can duck behind cover, and there's other people on their little hover platforms, and they're ducking behind cover, and you're shooting at each other around the cover. And to like reload the revolver, you like flick the revolver part out and load your bullets in and flick it back, and it looks really satisfying, like kind of the same for the shotgun. You flick it up to load it, and it's just crazy to see in 3D space another person with their headset and their controllers embodied, and they're hiding behind something, and they're looking at you.
That'd be cool.
And like shooting at you. And in some cases, like when the game ends and you can't hurt each other anymore, like they'll wave at each other and shit. And then it puts the weirdest part is they put you in a lobby where it's a tiny little room, and you're all kind of occupying the same space in the room, but it's just headsets and hands. And it's fucking terrifying because they're all just like looking at each other, and you can make little symbols with your hands, like flick people off and stuff. And like the video that I saw, like everyone was doing their own little thing, and there was one guy in the corner, and he had his hands up next to his headset, and he was just going like freaking out in the corner, and it was just crazy. I don't know. It blows my mind. I think it's awesome. It's not necessarily a fun video game experience yet because the games just haven't been like, even that game, which is really awesome in concept. There's 2 weapons and nothing else to it. Like that's it. It's that game. Is that it? And then I think it's like all the games are ridiculously expensive for what you're getting too. There's only a couple that seem actually worth the money. That heist one might be one when it's finally completed, but it's just in its alpha or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's just, I think it's super impressive. I wouldn't get one, especially not yet. Maybe when there's actually stuff. The main thing that I want VR for is stuff that has very obvious applications, like flying a simulated helicopter, which I'm really interested in, or a spaceship or whatever. But I was just surprised at like the amount of things that open up when you start thinking of the actual controllers and being able to walk around. And like, there's a table in your 3D space in the virtual world, and you can go under the table and look under it and stuff. And it's just stuff that you don't think about. It's cool. It's neat. Yeah. So I wouldn't call it disappointing. I think people have been way, way, way too negative about it. Like I saw a video where they compiled a bunch of shitty games together, gameplay footage together, and said VR sucks. And yeah, I think that was his name. And I was like,
Crowdcat likes to make cynical
like
edits of things.
Kind of shit.
Not clickbait, really, but
that's what it seemed like to me. Like, look, VR's terrible. Video games suck. Like, it's such an easy thing to do, and then it's a compilation of the worst of a VR live stream, and it's like, all right, you didn't show any of the good shit, you just showed the bad shit, and then all the comments are like, look at this gimmicky bullshit, this is like 3D TV, it'll die in a year, it sucks. And it's like, fuck you, man. Like, it has very obvious applications. It's a brand new technology. You can't expect it to actually be good yet. Like, as far as like actually having fun, fully made video games, because who's gonna fucking spend a huge budget to make a video game that's gonna sell to 0.1% of the population who can afford to actually set one of these things up? You have to like fucking place sensors on the wall that plug into a power outlet, which like, I was thinking about like, what if I were to put one in my room? Where would I fucking put it? And once you get to putting things on the walls, it's like, fuck that, no. So it's not even an option.
Right.
But as a technology, it's awesome and it'll get better. And I think it looks fucking great. It's gonna be really cool.
I think the Vive it's from what I've seen, seems to be clearly the best.
Yeah, and I mean it would be. It's more expensive. It's more complete than the Oculus. The Oculus is selling a different experience. It's selling a sitting down with a controller kind of experience. Although they are going to add the sticks and stuff, but like it seems in general Oculus is your like basic VR experience, which works for what I would be using it for, which is like flying cockpit stuff and that kind of thing.
I suppose. This is a little, I don't know, unrelated is the right word, but in my game theory class, which is not what you think it is, it's not a YouTube game theory.
Oh, no, yeah, it's like philosophical game theory.
Well, like math, economic game theory. And one of the concepts is first mover advantage and second mover advantage, and what moving first or moving second can give you. And it seems like Oculus is, they were the first movers for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
But
I don't want to place, like, I think Oculus, it took too long to come out to the point where people like Valve and Sony could move into the space and say like, look, we're better, we're cheaper, or we're better. And if Oculus had kind of made one of those dev kits a little more complete and sold it as a basic VR experience, that they could have been very successful. But they clearly said, well, we want to give people the best experience that is what we're looking for, which isn't the room scale or whatever they're calling it. But in the end, they've come out as like the middle ground that nobody really wants.
They are the mid-range. It seems like Sony's VR is probably going to be the worst. It'll be like a console thing that maybe just, I don't know, expands your field of view, and that might
it'll be an exclusive thing. And I mean, from what I've heard, it's actually better than you would think, considering the price is so much lower than the Oculus. But it's still gonna be worse. But yeah, if you want the low end experience, if you just kind of want to experience basic VR, you can get the Google Cardboard or whatever, or like the Samsung one that uses their phone, which sounds shitty as hell to me, but that's the low-end experience that Oculus, I think, should have gone for.
When I put it on my head, it was very low resolution, but I was surprised by how well it worked.
That's what I hear, is that like people are surprised that it actually works as well as it does.
Yeah, it looked like I was actually in a movie theater.
Yeah.
It was a very grainy movie theater, but it felt like I was there. Like I could see the light from the screen on like the handles of the seats, and it looked like it was all physically accurate to where those things should be, and it was really cool.
That's neat. I might try something like that out. I've got a Samsung phone, but
the problem is though that it's $99, and I wouldn't want to spend that much for a imitation VR experience.
exactly. I think Oculus should have gone for the true VR experience, but the budget one of like $300 is perfect. I would pay $300 if it was good enough to do what I wanted it to do, which is pretty basic. You know, I want to look around in cockpits. So if they had gone for that, I feel like they could sell VR to a larger demographic. But right now, it's like you either get the premium experience.
That's the thing, though.
and
We
the
just
Oculus
don't
isn't quite as
know.
good.
Well, I guess we do know because they haven't been pricing them low, but we don't. I don't think we know if it's possible to sell that at that price.
True. Sony's selling theirs apparently at a
But we
profit
don't know what
for
it's like,
$400.
really.
Yeah, that's true. We'll see. But
Okay.
I don't know. VR's weird.
Yeah, it's
I'm
cool.
really
though.
excited though, and I think it is truly a game changer.
I will be a second generation VR customer.
I think I will be too.
Almost certainly.
Maybe even first if it drops the price significantly, but it probably won't.
I'll still hold off. I'll
yeah,
hold off.
yeah. But
I would like to get one on my
cool
head.
as hell. Yeah. Yes,
Okay.
definitely. I want to find out where can I fucking try the Valve Lab
Yeah.
thing. I want to just experience that. It looks fucking cool.
Okay. This is not that big, but worth mentioning. Final Fantasy 15 had this big Twitch event where they describe what's in their new Final Fantasy game, and they have an empire of media now. They're gonna have an anime, and they're gonna have a CG movie with Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad, Lena Headey from Game of Thrones, and Sean Bean from Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, etc.
What are they thinking?
Well, who
I
knows?
can't imagine that. I don't know. I can't imagine.
It
can't
sounds like it
imagine a
will be
world in
very
which,
dumb.
They've already tried a Final Fantasy movie and it was a disaster.
It was that, like, what, Advent Children?
I don't remember.
I think it was Advent Children.
Like early 2000s or.
But it was a CG thing. The CG looks very good, but that's the thing. It's not, like, visually interesting. There's no style to it, or not
They
much
actually have, like, a
style to
trailer?
it. They do.
Okay.
It's
I'll
dumb.
have to look at that. Yeah, the World of Warcraft movie looks kind of the same thing. It's like, okay, this is impressive technology-wise, but what the fuck is the point? This is dumb
Technologically,
and looks bad.
the game itself looks incredible.
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
Whoa. Whoa. I'm gonna play that. I haven't played a single Final Fantasy game either.
Me either. I know.
I
almost
played
nothing
20
about Final
minutes.
Fantasy.
I played 20 minutes of Final Fantasy 1 on my cell phone in high school.
I know what a Chocobo? Chocobo? I know what one of those
But
is.
I know what that is too, but only from Newgrounds in the old days. I saw those Newground animations where it's like, oh God, I still remember the lyrics and the melody. Do you remember that the Final
No,
Fantasy
I-
song?
I-
It was
I-
Final Fantasy is an RPG, the only one that I need. It's
Wow.
the RPG for me. I remember it. It was on Newgrounds, and it was very,
Sounds like
very
quality
popular. It
content
was, I
right there.
think, the most popular video.
That was a
on there
weird
at the
time for the internet.
It really was, and that's another thing. Getting off Final Fantasy, going back and watching like anything that was super popular on Newgrounds or Flash Player or any of those sites, they do not hold up. None of it holds up.
They
It
don't
is
even hold
all
up in my mind.
fucking terrible.
Like I think back on that shit and I'm like, what the fuck was going on?
That's the thing, though.
in
Like
the world.
at the time, that some things were amazing at the time, and it like still managed to
Salad
hold
Fingers.
themselves together now. Salad Fingers is still like humorous,
Yeah.
but like I don't know. There was just a lot at that time that was just the best people could do, and objectively, it wasn't that good.
It was the forefront of animation being easy to do.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
you could have a community of people who were just individuals with no job, probably in high school, making these animations. And that was cool and totally different and weird. So I think the novelty of it was a lot of the appeal.
Oh yeah.
Because the shit that people made was not great.
It was not. I remember one little game. I forget what it's called. I think it was like. This was before they called games like this Blank Simulator. So I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure it's not called Simulator. But it was basically a game where you made your own animation. But you didn't actually have to animate it, obviously. You just chose certain things, and then as you practiced, you got better. And you moved from making like a pivot stick figure animation to like a basic frame animation, and then eventually you like hand drew your own called quote unquote groundbreaking animation. The example they used was this. I say furry. It's not like furry the way you think of it, but it was a guy with like a fuzzy head, and he was like prancing around the forest. But at the time, it was like very like detailed, lots of frames drawn in, and it was probably like the best that site had to offer at the time. It's just interesting. Those old Flash things. You go on Newgrounds.com now though, and basically none of it holds up. Animation has moved to YouTube in a big way.
Right.
And even that's dying, really.
YouTube?
Yeah. I mean, most animators, like internet animators who are keeping up with what they do, they've just been posting it to YouTube now.
Sure.
Or, they put it on Newgrounds too, probably, but they know that 99% of their audience is coming from YouTube.
Yeah.
Because that was the thing. Even Egoraptor made a video ages ago where it's Metal Gear Awesome is not on YouTube. You have to go to Newgrounds. And of course that didn't last long because people don't want to go to Newgrounds.com. They just want to watch YouTube videos.
Of course.
Oh,
right.
Somebody pointed out
Oh,
Bitey of Brackenwood. That's it. Yeah. I gotta rewatch it. That probably still does hold up. Anyway.
A guy's prancing around in a forest?
It's not prancing around. He's on some kind of adventure. There's some weird thing happening. I don't know.
Is it there's the one where the unicorn gets his kidney stolen? This was late. This was like YouTube era though. But the unicorn gets his kidney stolen and goes to Candy Mountain.
That's Charlie the Unicorn, but holy shit,
Charlie,
do you remember Machinimas?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Red vs. Blue was a machinima.
Well, Red vs. Blue is one thing, but I just mean like the
it's-
whole
But
breadth of
a lot of like
machinimas.
really garbage
Like
stuff.
what was it called? It had no dialogue. Ignis Solus. It was a TF2 animation machinima thing with like a pyro who was lonely.
Yeah.
And it had like its own
It was well
like
made. It was
original
well
music.
done. Yeah.
It was cool.
They were like started the whole like source filmmaker, all that stuff. Like kind of started there. That's good shit. That's in terms of machinima. That's like really late game stuff. I in my mind. But I don't know. God, internet
RB
man.
and Chief. Yeah.
RB and Chief. I never got into that one. Is that machinima? Isn't that like he's playing with like models and stuff?
It's like half machinima, I think, and half like action figures.
Yeah. Whatever. Okay, we gotta end this podcast.
Guys,
We've gone off topic enough.
thank you for tuning in. Seriously, thank you for watching Push to Shout. We adore you. We cherish you. Tune in next week. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed.
Tell your friends.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Good night.